Welcome. This is Impact 2022, our continuing conversation where we talk about all types of topics, current events. We talk about race, we talk about religion, we talk about social justice and the continuing fight for social justice and social change. And just like every week, we ask that you participate in this conversation. It is a conversation that goes both ways. So we ask that you type your questions and your comments into the comment section. And as you have comments and as you have questions, we will address them, and that has the conversation to continue on. For those who have been here before, you know that we discuss a numerous amount of topics all over the place, and this week is no different. However, what it is this week, it'll be just a little bit more of a conversational tone in the sense of there were some topics that came up recently and that have been continuously coming up over the recent weeks. And it's a conversation that I'll just jump right into and preference really quickly. Young people. Young people have had a stressful time. And when I say young people, we'll say 30 and under. I've had a stressful time in the past couple of years, especially 2020 and on. And one of the stresses that has been out there is the social environment, the rights of people of color, political, where you're having one party and another party, and some stresses of a lot of hatred and vitriol being spread both ways. Just a lot of stress on these young people. And as they become adults and actually get exposed to some of the real world realities, and you see some of the less than cordial nature of people dealing with one another, it's been stressing some of these younger people out. And going forward, these younger people have to make decisions about who and what company they keep. And as you also know, cancel culture has been a large thing. But individually, each person has to decide whether or not cancel culture will be a part of their personal lives. And so I've heard of people, young people, who've had to make decisions about what friends they can keep and what friends that they were going to distance themselves from, what family members they were going to distance themselves from, what organizations or groups they were going to stay in the company of or distance themselves from based on their views and their opinions. You've heard of people, young people, having issues with their family, their immediate family. So a daughter and a father and a mother fussing because the daughter may think that their father and mother is bigoted or racist or just has a backwards view. And the parents think that same way about their children. Friends, where, you get exposed to different things. You may have been sheltered and had one way of thinking your whole entire life, and then get exposed to something else, and then you have another way of thinking. And this is not just a young person issue. We've seen this issue a lot larger, where people are making decisions, and a lot of it has to do with politics. A lot of it, and not necessarily, it doesn't have to do with politics, but it's in the political realm of where a lot of people have to make a decision. Well, I'm not going to, support the political party that my family has always supported, and people are getting, death threats or getting disowned by family members. So this is not a young person thing exclusively. This has gone on with everybody, but there's been a large concentration of this with younger people because they're developing in life and deciding about their social circles. And so what the question and the more commentary of it is when is it okay? When is it okay? And what are the rules around deciding who to cut off and who to keep in your circle? And is that, and from a Christian standpoint, because that's the way that we lean on this show, is that the right thing to do? And I've told this story before, actually, but I will tell it again. It's not really a long story. It's very quick and right to the point. There was a lady that I know who was telling a story about her daughter. Her daughter's in college. And what was happening while Donald Trump was rising to power, she had some friends who decided that they were going to support Donald Trump. And the things that Donald Trump had said were so off-putting to this lady's daughter that she decided to cut her friends off. Like, you're not my friends anymore. I can't be friends with somebody who can support this person. And the mother said to her daughter, look, I don't think you should be going around cutting people off every time you disagree with them. You're not going to have any friends if you go that route. And that was her advice that she gave to her daughter. Now, the truth of the matter is, I don't agree with what the mother said. I don't disagree, because you're going to get rid of people every time you get mad. There's no room for change. There's no room for growth. There's no room for different opinions. But at the same time, there is a line there that each one of us has to determine. None of us, no mature person, we're just going to go right to it. We're not even going to open the door for some of these weirder opinions, but no mature person is sitting back here thinking that I'm canceling people out. Cancel culture is the right way to go. Nobody's thinking that way. There is a determination of, though, where's the line and who do you decide to unaffiliate yourself with? I truly believe that you can be guilty by association and be guilty by affiliation. Because if you are someone who supports someone who may say or do crazy things, you may be enabling them, and that makes you guilty by association and affiliation. So then that question that young people are having of whom do I keep in my circle and whom do I cut off? If you believe that, and we keep it plain here. So we don't try to put out vague what ifs and possibilities and blah 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 blah. We keep it plain. We go straight to it. One of the biggest divisions that has been going on is political. It's been because of the rise of Donald Trump and because of the rise of people who have had a lot of hateful words and hateful rhetoric that they put out. And so when Donald Trump came out and he said things disparagingly against Black people, against brown people, against Hispanics, people who have come to this country, undocumented people, or people who have come seeking asylum or have come illegally, or however you want to put that together. That division, that line has cut deep. And you have to make a decision, like, do I want to be around somebody who supports that? Do I trust somebody who will support someone who continuously lies? Am I okay to be friends with somebody who can agree with some of this hateful, hurtful stuff? Because if they will agree with that, will they do that to me or to my family or to my friends? Or will they do that to other people? Do they just support people who do bad things, or do they believe in these bad things as well? And if they're doing bad things, do I want to be affiliated, associated, or friends with someone who does these bad things? That's a serious and real conversation. I sit back, for me personally, looking at it like, all right, look, if you are that hateful and hurtful, or if you say certain things or support people who do certain things, there is no way I want you around my kids. Doesn't mean we can't be cool in the sense of, hey man, what's up? We could talk maybe, on the phone or something like that. But at the end of the day, I don't want you coming into my house. You can't be around my family. Like, we're not cool like that anymore. That's a real thing for me. For me personally, that's a real thing. What I can't have you doing is coming in here into my home, or coming around my kids spewing hate and trying to put any of those crazy ideas anywhere near them. Like, I don't need you doing that. And because you are a friend or a trusted person, they'll sit back and listen a little bit more to what you have to say, whether they hear it from TV or hear it at school or hear somebody else say something crazy. They'll just be like, oh, they crazy. But if there's a thing of, oh, that's my dad's friend, or oh, that's a family member. And so if they say that, maybe there's some credence and credibility to it. So there is some protection there. And I believe that wholeheartedly. But there's the question that each one of us has to sit back and manage. But at the same time, you have to sit back and ask yourself, is that the right thing to do? Is it right to cut people off? Is it right to push people away? We always do that. The what would Jesus do? How do How do I help people if I'm pushing people away? How do I, as the Pope said, we're not supposed to be, building walls. We're supposed to be building bridges. And how can I be building bridges if I'm blowing bridges up? Maybe I went too deep into the analogy there, but blowing bridges up between bridging people together, so blowing friendships up or acquaintances up. Let's go right to one of the comments, which is the problem comes up when you have to deal with close family members. Yes, absolutely, close family members. And that's the thing, you can put them at bay, but is it right? Is it okay? Blood thicker than water, all of this kind of things that we all say. Is it okay that because I disagree with how you're living your life, or and more so because I disagree with how you think life should be lived, that we should distance ourselves from one another? The the political issue has been really big, and it's really big because it just transcends politics. Politics, to the most basic form, should be: do you believe that government should be big, or do you believe that government should be small? Do you believe that individuals should make decisions about their lives, or do you feel like the government should make more decisions about people's lives because people are inherently irresponsible or bad, or can fall through the cracks? Though that is, in the purest form, what all politics is about or should be about. And when you go back and you look about what politics is, all the different political parties, it's about the role of government in people's lives. Now, of course, then it comes into, we want to try to make a little money over here. Should rich people do this? Should poor people do this? Blah, 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 taking care of it. All that's mixed in, but it really just comes down to the role of government. That's all it should be. But what it's morphed into, especially here in the United States, is now a moral issue of, hey, do I want to be affiliated with people who lie, cheat, steal? Is that an okay thing? Is it okay to be a liar? Is it okay to false witness out here intentionally? Is it okay to have that mantra of the ends justifies the means? So if we have to cheat here, we have to, be dishonest over here, as long as we get our people in and can do our thing. It's devolved into that situation. Devolved into where you have to sit back and you have to say, well, there's people who are making racist comments against groups in public, against people of color, against different groups, Jewish people, against Native Americans, against people, again, who are Hispanic or people who have come over here illegal. It's devolved into that. And so then that becomes, all right, who do I cut off and who do I keep? And as the comment said, you have to sit back when it's close family. Well, when it's close family, there's people who have decided, well, it's children who have decided that they're not taking their children to their parents' house. So their grandchildren can't see their grandparents because their grandparents are sitting here believing one path, and the children believe another path, and the children had need to protect their grandchildren from the path that the grandparents are on. And is that right? I don't know. I honestly, and as I talk this through, and as I've heard the commentary from different people, I don't know what the right answer is. On the one end, we should stay affiliated and associated with different people. We should be able to disagree with folk and still be able to be cordial and friendly. We should be able to disagree with folk and still be able to be in their presence, because at the end of the day, the transfer of thoughts is what mature people do in order to both grow. And just because you disagree with me doesn't mean you don't have any value add. Doesn't mean you don't have anything to say that might be impactful on my life or be important in the grand scheme of things. From a Christian standpoint, I believe that we have a responsibility to take care of our neighbor. And it doesn't say the neighbor that you agree with versus the neighbor that you disagree with. And so if you are someone that's in my community, I it's hard for me to sit back and say I'm really following what the teachings if I'm pushing you away from intentionally making sure that there is a divide or a line between us. And so I struggle with that one when I hear these people talk about cutting people off or breaking away. But at the same time, then you have to protect your mind and protect um, those around you. And then honestly, you just don't want to affiliate yourself with bad people. And the word says that as well. We have to be careful who we affiliate ourselves with and get in agreement with. And so it's that weird situation or that weird line that we're in, and I don't truly know the answer. And so for these younger people that have there's been numerous articles on it and discussions of it in real life and in social media life as well. At what point do you make the decision to cut someone off? At what point do you make the decision to break away a friendship? At what point do you make a decision to break away a relationship or to fracture a relationship or to change a relationship based on the path that they're on, based on the affiliations that they want to go to? One of the current events that's popped up, and we're actually going to dive into this next week with our guests, is Kanye West. Recently, what's been going on with him, if you don't know, I'm not going to go into big detail, but he's talked about numerous things that are divisive. He's going on White Lives Matter. He's talked about Jewish people in some disparaging ways. He's attacked anyone who may befriend or affiliated with anybody that that he's disagreeing with. So if he disagrees with this person, you're friends with them, and he's coming after you, and he's just really gone on a tangent. He's been kicked off, temporarily suspended from Twitter and other social media outlets because of the things that he's been saying. And the people who are with him, he has business deals and friends, and he's wealthy, he's a billionaire. You got to sit back and make a decision. Am I still going to be affiliated with somebody like this who's gone so far? And at the same time, I know that he has mental issues. What do I do? I can be with somebody who's being so hateful and hurtful and mean and really dangerous with their words because I know that they have some issues or whatever, or do I cut them off and push them away because they're dangerous? Back to the comments, there are those who claim that we need less government and government intervention. What they really believe is that there should be a limited amount of people who make decisions for society. That's why they challenge who can vote. There are a few who want to direct the media. Yeah, and that is one of the definite decisions, that you have an elite, that you have a group that is smarter than everybody else, more successful than everybody else, or even just more deserving. They don't even have to be smarter or more successful or whatever. It's just some people who are more deserving who should be making all decisions for everyone else. The opposite of Black or White Lives Matter or whatever lives matter. It's my life matters and everybody else is just in my game. Yeah. And that's one of the debates, and that's problematic. But the thing about that is, in order to have that type of thought process, that there should be some people who make decisions for everyone else. That means, one, you think that you're elite, or you think that you and the people who that you believe that should be making the decisions are elite, and you think that everybody else is incapable of making smart, wise decisions. That means you're looking down on these other people. And back to our discussion of who do you keep in your circle and who do you not, is that somebody that you want to be affiliated with? Is it wrong to cut that person off and keep that person away? Because obviously, if they think that they're better than other people, and they may think that they're better than you, but even if they don't think they're better than you, they think, okay, you're one of the good ones. Who is walking around with a nasty mentality of I'm better than all of these other folks. And if that's who's around you, You are who you're around. You're like who you're around. Like you're friends with people for reasons. You know, why do I have friends? It's because we have some similarities. We may enjoy some of the same things. We have gone through some of the same experiences. We're similar in some of our thought processes. That's why you have friends and acquaintances. And so if you're not similar, or if there's some strong issues that keep you apart, then should you still be together? I really don't know, honestly. But I think that's something that we all need to think about, and I know that that is something that the younger people are dealing with. But I can say this: if you cut people off, it's okay. If you feel uncomfortable with those people around you, don't keep anybody. It's like being in an abusive relationship. Don't keep anybody around you who you don't feel comfortable with. And so, if you have friends or you have family who are diving into these conspiracy theories or diving into these groups and it feels like they're being hateful and hurtful and they're being mean with their words, absolutely, there is no reason that you feel like you have to be tied to that situation. And I think we can still be good neighbors that if they needed something or they wanted something, um, or they even just wanted to have a conversation, or they became sick or they became ill, you can still visit the sick. You can still provide for those who need. You can still be a friend in the sense of if you're not okay, I can call you. I can wish you happy birthday. I can do these things. But as far as us being together, hanging out, having conversations and all that kind of stuff, no, that's to cease to exist because you're dangerous. I think that we can all go there. I think that so it doesn't have to be a cancel situation where you cancel people out. I'm not going to deal with you at all. But I do think that we have to monitor what we're going to do. And so back to the original thing that we talked about, back to the original example, where the young lady had a friend who was tied up in the politics. She was all into this Trump stuff, and the young lady was cut her friend off, and the mother said, "No, don't do that." I think the maturity there was from the young lady because you don't cut your friends off if you feel like that's what you have to do because you can always bring them back. But it may be safer to cut them off in the sense of we can't be friendly like we are, but I can still love you and I can still be a neighbor to you and make sure that I do the things that I'm supposed to do. Another comment. What do you think about Florida's governor who transports immigrants to Martha's Vineyard? Only now using these same immigrants to clean up after the hurricane. Hmm. 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 Now, I like this because this is an issue for me. If you support the Florida governor, and I don't care who you are, family, friend, co-worker, um, a fraternity brother, sorority sister, whatever. I don't care who you are. If you are okay with transferring people, human beings, and playing with them like pawns, you support what the governor does. At no point in time do I want to be affiliated with you. And that's me personally. I can be clearing in the sand, like we're not like if we were getting ready to go on vacation together, I'd be like, nah, we good. We're not doing that. Because I don't want to be around anybody who acts like that. Guilty by association, affiliation. If you are affiliated, associated with Ron DeSantis and anybody in Florida who agrees with that type of situation, or the people in Texas who agree with that situation, I do not want to have anything to do with you. Now, if you're hurt, you need some help, you need somebody to talk to, and in the sense of maybe you having a tough time and you need an ear to listen to, I'm there for that. But outside of that, no. And so I sit back and I look at this situation. I know the question more so is what do you think about that? I think that that's a horrible situation, that you're a human trafficker, that whatever you think is going on with the other with immigrants and with people, whatever bad thing that you think is going on with them, you are just as bad or worse because you're using people and you're trafficking people back and forth for your own pleasure. And that's exactly what that is. So again, if somebody can be associated with that or somebody can agree with that, I will, cut them off. And so that's I think that's important. I think that's important. I think it's better to sit back and have a situation where I'm going to say, look, I can't deal with you on this level. We just can't. Then for every time we get together, an argument breaks out, or at the end of the day, we're hanging out, but deep down inside, I have a bad taste or a bad feeling about you. Like, we're hanging out, going to go play basketball together. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, this dude is the worst. Like, he's horrible. I hope he falls when he goes up for a shot. Like, instead of having those nasty feelings that that can manifest in other ways. I may not say it to you, but it may be through my body language or maybe how do I treat you. I think it's better than just to separate ourselves. We need to bring around people who are going to be a benefit to our situation. But then don't cut them off. Still communicate, still talk. Because I want to be able to tell you that it's horrible that you think that it's okay what they did in Florida. I want to be able to still say that to somebody. And I can't do that if we don't talk at all. And so it's a weird situation. It's a weird combination. I think all of us have to make that decision about the people that we have in our circle. I think we all have a responsibility, especially those of us who believe in the Word of God, who believe that we're on the thinking in a manner, we're thinking in a manner of caring for one another. We can't help people, or we can't continue to have that conversation with people if we don't have anybody to have that conversation with. Doesn't just do us good to just talk to ourselves. And so there is a we push people away, but not too far away that we can't communicate, congregate, help each other out. But there is a responsibility to yourself and to them not to be angry or disgruntled and have yourself be hurt or hurt them. All right. That was, that was the conversation. That was the conversation point. And hopefully that, there was no answer there, I don't think, but hopefully that helped a little bit of people who are dealing with that. And or the realization that there are a lot of people who are dealing with that right now. There are a lot of people who are dealing with that, especially younger people, because they're growing into their person. A lot of them are growing into their person. High school kids are dealing with that. College kids are dealing with that. Just young 20s, 30s. All of us are dealing with it because we talked about older people as well who are dealing with that. But that is something that a lot of people are dealing with. And when we are talking about a time of stress and depression and things like that, that's one of those issues that's out there. There are a lot of people dealing with friends, people who they thought were friends, and they're struggling with whether or not they're still friends, people who are family members who are just saying some things that are just so disgusting to them. It's a lot of people dealing with that. And we should recognize that there are folk who are dealing with that. One more comment. During slavery, there were certain slaves you lived around, but they could not be trusted. Yeah, that's family and friends. Family and friends. The same situation, I think. During slavery, there were certain slaves. You're in the same boat with me, but you can't be trusted because, your relationship or your thought process about the slave owners and how things worked. And I think that's the same situation. There are going to be family members and people in different groups and organizations that you're affiliated with that you can't trust. You're not going to be there with. Again, you can be around them in the sense of you can talk to them, but you don't trust them, man. We not like that. We're not like that. We don't have that same kind of relationship. And I think that's more the most important thing is relationships should change. Everybody's not going to be the same. I can't treat everybody the same. There's those who are friends, and there's those who are affiliates, and people I just know. And I think that's okay. And I think we need to make sure that we, but I do think we need to make sure that we're always connected, though. Unless somebody's just, super dangerous from now. You know, there are certain people in certain times to cut people off. All right, we're at our time. I appreciate all the comments. Hopefully this helped. Hopefully this is something that either opened your eyes to what other people are seeing and dealing and going through, or even with yourself. It's a thought process and a thought point of how you should deal with those who you may severely disagree with. As always, this is Impact 2022. We will be here every week. Please join us here on Facebook and YouTube on Thursdays at 7 o'clock for Bible study, and on Sundays as well for service. Thank you everyone for joining us, all the great comments, and have a good one and good night.